I'm from Format. I think as Tash said at the beginning, we're a full-service digital marketing agency, but probably more known for our recruitment websites and career websites. We've been working with npower for about 6 years. I think it's almost 6 years to the day that we actually, eventually got signed contracts and started working. And Adrian, as head of resourcing, is going to do most of the talking. He's going to talk about how the journey has evolved and how we use the power of the employees to actually engage and attract quality candidates. Because it's not just about quantity. I was speaking with Nick from Vodafone just before lunch, and he was saying they get something like 250,000 applications through. Now, that's not a problem in terms of applications. It's actually probably a problem in terms of dealing with the quality and actually sifting through. So what we wanted to do was really start at the beginning. So in the very beginning, it was a bit of a red world, and npower were probably more known for the football. Not just energy. But the big problem was that they had a very pretty website, subjective, but the big problem was that Google couldn't see any of the jobs. So from an attraction perspective, unless somebody knew that they wanted to work for npower, they were never going to find the jobs. Well, they would if they were advertising on agency websites and advertising on job boards. And to put in perspective, direct hires are 8%. So you only need to do the math and work out that the average agency fee was about $3,500 to realise they were spending an awful lot on recruitment agencies. So the first thing we needed to do was actually launch a new website, and I likened it to the fact that you've got all these people out here searching for jobs. They're searching for finance managers, customer service jobs, and things like that. So effectively, we needed to get a site that was going to be Google friendly and user friendly. And those of you who've seen me talk before or I've spoken to in the past will probably recognise this. Job search equals shopping. I think somebody mentioned that today in terms of that we're shopping for jobs. And the user behaviour in terms of looking for a television or a holiday or a piece of free-range turkey at Christmas, they've inverted, really they turn to Google. So really we need to make the job search equal shopping and make sure that it was Google-friendly jobs so that if somebody was searching for a customer service job, they would find it, especially if they were searching for a customer service job in Durham. And that was quite simple. We basically took the same approach as most retailers and make sure that they're URL friendly, that if you're searching for a market researcher job, the page is called Market Research Manager, which means they appear in Google. Hygiene factor. Every website out there should do this. The fact they don't is another point entirely. And what that actually means is if you are searching for a marketing manager role with npower, you want to find out more, you don't land on the home page and have to search. You land on either the marketing manager job, the marketing landing page, marketing videos, marketing blogs. You actually get what you actually want. In the same way, if I'm searching for a Sony LED TV, I'm going to find a lot of listings for Sony LED TVs on Currys, on Amazon, on Richer Sounds. I'm not going to have to go to the home page. I go straight to what I want. So whereas in the olden days, people used to say about 3 clicks. So you go from Google to the home page, search for jobs, find a job listing and click on a job. Now you go straight to the content you actually want. So it becomes a single click. So what's the problem? We're attracting all these wonderful candidates. They're landing on the sites. Traffic has gone through the roof. All heaven, really. Adrian's just going to tell you a bit more. It's not quite as simple as that.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, DJ. So before we talk about recruiting in a challenging sector, I've hit the wrong button. There we go. Quick quiz. So hands up, those of you who recognise this logo. I think that's pretty much everybody. So obviously that's Facebook. And then this one. Again, most of you. So both relatively new organisations, you would argue, in the grand scheme of things. Both in the same sector. We all instantly recognise what they do. And we're also then able to build and form an opinion on the type of organisation they are and what they do in their sector. So let's try a couple more. Anybody recognise that logo? All recruiters, I'm sure we've all had one at some point.
Or a BMW.
Yes, yes. Other car brands are available. And if you're a similar age to me, then I'm guessing you probably also recognise that advertising campaign and the Volkswagen Technik strapline that came with it. And again, we instantly recognise the product, the organisation, and what they stand for. A slightly less obvious one, this one. But if I was to tell you this is the MI6 logo, and then we begin to think about what it's like to work there, I guess most of us think this. But in reality, most of us can't offer the excitement of being an international spy. However, even those organisations that sell pretty much the same product have a way of differentiating themselves apart from their competitors. And again, those of you that are a similar age to me will remember the Pepsi Challenge. In many organisations, the product marketing will go a long way to influencing the employer branding and what the candidates perceive of you and what it's like to work there. So, who can tell me, one last question, which energy provider is powering this light bulb? Or this one? Or this gas hob? Or that one? And that's my first challenge. Recruiting in this sector, there's absolutely nothing that differentiates us from our competitors in terms of product, in the same way that other organisations can. When you at home turn the light switch on, the power comes on, and our power supply is exactly the same as EDF's, as E.ON's, as British Gas. And that's my second challenge, is that the switch will turn the light on, but the utilities industry doesn't always turn a candidate on. We're not an up-and-coming upstart internet company. We don't manufacture a product that you'll remember or associate with, like an Audi rally car. And we're certainly, and I've had this in writing, certainly not able to offer you an Aston Martin DB5 as a company car. So our employer branding is based on the how and the why, what we do. And the communication on what we do forms a significant part of our employer brand. And for all of us, it's about an authentic message. We've heard that on numerous occasions this morning about it being an authentic message. And over the last few years, we've worked really closely with the format team on communicating what potential employees will see. And one of the most effective ways of communicating what it's like to work around here is to ask your team. Over the years, we've produced a number of videos that potential employees can watch and get a flavour of what it is like to work at npower. As you can see, we've asked a wide selection of our current team to talk about their experience and what an employee can expect if they choose to join npower. And as you can see, we've got Ashley and Claire from our Durham Contact Centre, which DJ was just talking about, and a couple of managers from our Solihull office. It's also important to build authentic content around specific recruitment campaigns. So in the last year, we've engaged with the business in communicating externally what we do by using Formats team to produce some specific campaign blogs with the intention of engaging potential candidates prior to a piece of recruitment activity, so we warm them up to what we're about to do, or indeed with the intention of sharing this across social media during the campaign to attract candidates. This has really improved both the quantity and the quality of the candidates that we've attracted for a specific requirement. So DJ was talking earlier about Vodafone having 250,000 applications. What volume of that is a quality candidate? And we've really been able to see a massive increase in the way that we've attracted quality candidates. So much so that my team are now being asked regularly by separate parts of the business area if we can then do the same thing for them. And this is really new. This only went live yesterday. Something that we've been trialling is using video job adverts as opposed to text adverts. So some people who engage with a text advert, some people it switches them off, they don't read them, and would rather engage with the individual that they're going to be working for. So we've interviewed a number of hiring managers. You can see Ben here is our digital program manager talking to Chris, and they have been talking about the job advert and bringing that job advert to life, giving the candidate a real flavour of what they would be doing if they chose to apply for npower and what it's like to work here when they arrive.
Thanks, Adrian. I think this is the bit that's really quite interesting. So the interviews Freudian slip there. These wonderful people. So the interviews have been carried out with real people. They're not highly produced, actor-style interviews. So they're often done on an iPhone or on a digital SLR, and they're just quite simple in terms of asking a few questions. We've got an example here of one of the smart meter guys.
I've been npower 12 months now. I've been a gas engineer for about 10 years, working for different companies. I'm now a smart engineer, dual fuel, putting smart meters in customers' properties. I'd say it's a good company to work for. There's a good team here, there's a lot of teamwork, there's good training and there's good prospects for a good career. I don't stress about coming into work, whereas previous jobs I have done that.
I think that's not an overproduced, that's a real life gas, dual fuel smart meter installer. On the other end of the spectrum, we then go to the digital marketing team. So here again, we've got somebody who's real.
The thing that I really like about working at npower is the people. It's full of weird and wonderful people, really creative, different talents. I say the most interesting thing I do is my job. So I work in marketing, it's all about creativity, and the best thing for me is seeing the end result, whether that's the direct mail or the email or the billboards all around Solihull and Leeds and Birmingham. What makes me smile at work is my team. I love my team, also when my manager buys me chocolate.
Yeah. We were talking on a couple of round tables earlier about corporate marketing getting a little bit nervous about what was being put up, and I think that's a great example of a video that some corporate marketing might get really worried about, because it says, I work with great, weird and wonderful people and my manager buys me chocolates. It's not the sort of like the traditional corporate message, but it's authentic, it's real. And I think that comes down to the fact that when we started working with the guys at npower, we looked at what we needed to do to engage people. So it was understanding who they were, where they hung out, where they were they on Facebook, were they on Twitter, were they on Instagram, were they on forums. And once you knew where they actually were, we could start looking at making a connection and what was actually of interest to them. Because by making that connection, you start to be able to influence them and actually make them want to choose you. Because in terms of recruitment, it's all about influencing people to come and work for your organisation and that they're the right type of person. So it's about useful. This is where technology has a bit of fun. Bear with me a second. No, it's not going to work. Okay, it is now. It's going to work. So basically what we've got, Adrian talked about campaign pages. So campaign pages are really important. So here it's where we aggregate relevant content together. So it's information. So for example, we've got there tabs in terms of testimonials, jobs, about, benefits, recruitment process. When you scroll down the page, you've got additional videos, which the one I showed you. And it's all relevant information. And then you've got some blogs, so about what it's like to work in smart metering, what it actually means, what the smart metering revolution is all about. You click through on that blog, you view another blog, you read some information, and alongside, just the way Amazon is doing, you're being tapped on the shoulder with relevant vacancies. So you've got some smart meter installer vacancies, you've got some project management vacancies, all within that smart meter environment. So we were talking about earlier about making it relevant. If you make it relevant, people engage. And that has helped improve the conversion rate. So we've now built up a portfolio of content that we know is of interest. The reason we know it's of interest is because it's actually come from the people within the organisation. We're acting like journalists. So we've got, Adrian mentioned there about building up a head of steam ahead of a campaign. So we've got example, life as an account manager at npower. The day in the life articles and blogs, every month they get several hundred views of people actually going in and viewing them. Even if that blog was actually created 6 months, 12 months ago. People are interested to find out what it's like to work. We call it, it's almost like, what is my window, where is my desk? So what can you see, where am I going to sit? And once you've got this content, it's then about promoting it on social. Because if you haven't got content, it's very difficult to do social, which ends up with a lot of people just vomiting jobs onto Twitter, vomiting jobs onto Facebook, nobody really engages. But by pushing that, putting a little bit of targeted advertising, and we're not talking about masses here, we're talking about £50 a pop. You know, it's not expensive. You can target it by the location, the type of interests, and what that meant is the social content views rose dramatically. And because we had relevant jobs against content, basically the social conversions, and what we mean about a conversion is somebody actually clicking the apply button and landing in the applicant tracking system and actually then being able to go through the recruitment process. So if you give something to people to share and put relevant vacancies alongside it, you start making that movement of the user fairly natural. And don't forget mobile. It's been talked about at conferences for years and years and years, but depending on who you're targeting, we find that generally it's between 40 and 70% of the views are on mobile. The 70% is your contact centre, your smart guys, the people who are out and about on their phones. The 40% is more of your traditional office-based people, finance, HR, things like that. So, doing all this lovely stuff, it's not rocket science, most of this, but when it comes to results, it's quite impressive. Adrian?
Thank you. Yeah, so what's the bottom line, really? Because employer brand is notoriously difficult to measure. In fact, I once heard it described as EVP as expensive, valueless, pointless. However, that's not something I agree with. It is difficult to track though. So as a team we decided to look at what measurable activities we could relate back to communicating our employer brand and our proposition. And each month we take a measure and a view of applicants that meet us for interview, specifically asking them about the content that they engage with both on the career site and on the social media channels. And 85% of them agreed that what they saw when they arrived with us at interview was a reflection of what they'd read and what they'd engaged with in terms of content externally. And we asked that question regardless of whether they know the outcome of the interview. So the timing of the questionnaire is, it could be the day after your interview, it could be a month after, so you may or may not know. So we get a wide cross-section of people who have been successful, not successful, or don't yet know. I'm more interested in what they've engaged in and how they find it, as opposed to whether they got the job or not. We also then ask them again, when they have been successful and joined the organisation, for an honest view on the information that we shared with them through the recruitment process, again on the careers page and again on the channels, the social media channels, and how that compared to their current experience at a number of weeks in. And again, 86% agree that it was a good representation of their actual experience in the organisation. So what we're saying is actually what happens. And ultimately, DJ spoke earlier, and it's quite embarrassing, I guess, to watch that slide, albeit I wasn't around at the time. We've moved from an 8% direct hire ratio to a 90% in Q1 this year, direct hire. And that's a massive move over the course of the last 4.5, 5 years. And ultimately, what is the bottom line? The annual cost savings in the millions compared to the agency spend that the organisation was spending about 4.5 years ago. So that's DJ's and my contact details. If you want to ask any further questions, or I guess we've probably got time for questions now, Tash, then feel free to make contact.
Thank you very much.